It all began on a crisp autumn evening in downtown Chicago, a city known for its vibrant culture, but equally infamous for its complex relationship with law enforcement. The streets were alive with energy. Neon lights flickered against glass skyscrapers. Couples strolled hand in hand through bustling intersections, and street vendors hawked hot pretzels to late-night revelers. But beneath this seemingly idyllic urban tableau lay tensions simmering under the surface. Tensions rooted in years of mistrust between marginalized communities and those sworn to protect them. Special Agent Danielle Carter had been working deep undercover for months as part of Operation Shadow Strike, a high-stakes investigation targeting a dangerous drug cartel operating out of the South Side. Her assignment required her to blend seamlessly into the community she was tasked with infiltrating, a role she executed flawlessly. With her natural charm, sharp instincts, and impeccable ability to adapt, Danielle had earned the trust of key players within the organization. She was close, so close, to dismantling one of the largest criminal enterprises in recent history. But tonight, everything changed. Danielle stood outside a dimly lit corner store, waiting for her contact, a mid-level enforcer named Marcus, who was supposed to deliver critical intel about an upcoming shipment. Dressed casually in jeans, sneakers, and a hoodie, she looked like any other young woman walking home after grabbing snacks from the bodega. That anonymity was crucial, blending in meant staying safe. What Danielle didn't know, however, was that two rookie cops patrolling the area had already singled her out. Officer Greg Thompson and Officer Ryan Keller were fresh out of the academy, eager to make names for themselves in a department notorious for corruption scandals. They saw themselves as the good guys, determined to clean up the streets no matter the cost. Unfortunately, their zeal often overshadowed their judgment, leading them to rely heavily on stereotypes rather than evidence. When they spotted Danielle lingering near the store, they immediately assumed the worst. "There she is again," Officer Thompson muttered, peering through the windshield of their patrol car. "Third time we've seen her around here tonight. Something's off." His partner nodded, gripping the steering wheel tighter. "Yeah, and look at her outfit. Classic sign of someone trying to blend in while casing a joint." Without hesitation, they pulled over to the curb, got out of the vehicle, and approached Danielle with flashlights trained on her face. Their body language screamed hostility, hands hovering near their holsters, shoulders tense, voices clipped. "Hey, you," Officer Thompson called out. "What are you doing here?" Danielle turned slowly, hands raised slightly to show she wasn't a threat. She'd been trained to remain calm in situations like this, but inside, her mind raced. "Stay cool," she reminded herself. "Don't blow your cover." "I'm just waiting for my ride," she replied evenly, her tone polite yet firm. "Is there a problem, officers?" Instead of answering, Officer Keller stepped closer, his flashlight beam bouncing off her face. "You're always hanging around here late at night. People say you've been asking questions, poking your nose where it doesn't belong." Danielle frowned, feigning confusion. "I don't know what you're talking about. I live nearby, and I come here sometimes to grab groceries." "That's it." The officers exchanged skeptical glances. To them, her explanation sounded rehearsed, a lie designed to throw them off track. They weren't interested in hearing excuses. "We need to see some ID," Officer Thompson demanded, reaching for his handcuffs preemptively. At this point, most civilians would comply without question, afraid of escalating the situation further. But Danielle wasn't most civilians. As she reached into her pocket to retrieve her wallet, she knew exactly what she was doing. Every move was calculated, every word carefully chosen. "Of course," she said smoothly, pulling out her driver's license. "Here you go." Both officers leaned in to inspect the card, momentarily distracted by the details printed on it. Meanwhile, Danielle subtly shifted her stance, ensuring she remained in control of the interaction. She could feel the weight of her concealed firearm tucked securely against her ribs, a reminder of who she truly was. But revealing it now would jeopardize the entire operation. Patience was key. After scrutinizing the ID for what felt like an eternity, Officer Keller handed it back with a sneer. "Fine, but we still think you're up to something. Get out of here before we change our minds. Danielle forced a tight smile, tucking the license back into her pocket. Thank you, officers. Have a good night. As she walked away, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were watching her every move. Sure enough, moments later, she heard footsteps pounding behind her. Before she could react, Officer Thompson grabbed her arm roughly and spun her around. "We're detaining you," he growled, "for suspicious behavior." Her heart sank. This wasn't supposed to happen. Not now, not when she was so close to cracking the case wide open. Still, she refused to panic. Instead, she adopted the demeanor of someone caught in an unfair situation, exasperated but compliant. "For what?" she asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. "I haven't done anything wrong." "You'll answer that downtown," Officer Keller snapped, snapping handcuffs on her wrists. The irony of the moment wasn't lost on Danielle. Here she was, an experienced federal agent tasked with taking down criminals, being treated like one herself because of her race and gender. It was infuriating, yes, but she couldn't let personal feelings cloud her mission. If anything, this detour might actually work in her favor. Once inside the police cruiser, Danielle allowed herself a small smirk. While the officers believed they were hauling in a suspect, they had no idea they'd just arrested one of the most skilled operatives in the FBI's ranks. All she had to do was wait for the right opportunity to turn the tables. Back at the precinct, Danielle was processed like any other detainee, fingerprinted, photographed, and locked in a holding cell. The irony only deepened as she sat there, surrounded by individuals genuinely guilty of various crimes. She observed them quietly, noting their mannerisms and interactions. Even in captivity, she couldn't help but gather intelligence. It was second nature to her. Meanwhile, Officers Thompson and Keller celebrated their big catch in the break room, oblivious to the storm brewing outside. News of the arrest spread quickly among the higher-ups, prompting calls to local news outlets eager to report on another alleged gang-related bust. Little did anyone know, the real drama was about to unfold. Within hours, word of Danielle's detention reached her handler, Special Agent Marcus Reed, who immediately recognized the gravity of the situation. He contacted the precinct, demanding an explanation for why one of his agents had been taken into custody. At first, the desk sergeant dismissed his concerns, insisting they were merely following protocol. But when Agent Reed threatened to involve internal affairs, and possibly the media, the tone shifted dramatically. A lieutenant arrived at the holding cell shortly thereafter, accompanied by a visibly nervous Officer Thompson. Danielle greeted them with a raised eyebrow, savoring the moment. Well, she drawled. "Took you long enough." The lieutenant cleared his throat, clearly uncomfortable. "Agent Carter, we apologize for this misunderstanding. These officers will be disciplined accordingly." Danielle stood up, brushing imaginary lint off her hoodie. Apology accepted. Now, let's talk about what happens next. What followed was a whirlwind of activity. Officers Thompson and Keller were placed on administrative leave, pending an internal investigation, while Danielle returned to headquarters to debrief her superiors. Though shaken by the ordeal, she insisted on continuing her undercover work, determined to see Operation Shadow Strike through to the end. In the weeks that followed, Danielle used the incident to her advantage. By playing the victim of police misconduct, she gained even more credibility among the cartel members she'd been investigating. They sympathized with her plight, unaware that she was secretly gathering evidence against them. Ultimately, her perseverance paid off. The operation culminated in a massive raid that dismantled the entire organization, resulting in dozens of arrests and millions of dollars worth of seized assets. As for Officers Thompson and Keller, their careers were effectively ruined. Their actions served as a stark reminder of the dangers of racial profiling and unchecked authority, a lesson that resonated far beyond the confines of the Chicago PD. In the aftermath of the operation, Danielle found herself reflecting on the events that transpired. While she understood the importance of her mission, she couldn't ignore the broader implications of what had happened. The incident highlighted systemic issues within law enforcement, issues that went beyond individual mistakes made by rogue officers. It underscored the urgent need for reform, training, and accountability measures to prevent similar occurrences in the future. For Danielle, the experience reinforced her commitment to justice, not just as an agent, but as a human being dedicated to creating meaningful change. She became an advocate for diversity and inclusion within law enforcement agencies, using her platform to speak out against racial profiling and discriminatory practices. Her story inspired others to join the fight for equality and fairness, sparking conversations that rippled across the nation.